welcome to Check It Out Comrade, an indie game podcast where every 2 weeks we bring you 2 indie games and tell you what we like about them. I'm Nick Glauber.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this week we're doing Downwell and Underrail.
Yeah. Before we get started, real quick.
Please.
I'm welcome back, Nick.
Yeah, welcome back to Season 3.
Yeah, we're back. We had mentioned that we'd have some new theme music. We don't. And the reason being, this is a special Check It Out Comrade consumer report. I bought the Chip Maestro, which is the thing that was going to allow me to play my NES with a keyboard. And it has been like pulling teeth getting any support for that. They're non-responsive, and their responses have not made it work. And then I've done some digging and stuff in the in forums and stuff, and it's just kind of notoriously hard to get to work. So I am not giving up on that idea, because I have plans for that thing, but I have spent a lot of time and money trying to get to work to no avail.
That sucks. Yeah, you ended up getting an NES from our friend Brandon SG, and it still didn't work out. I
got a new MIDI keyboard. I got a bunch of different adapters to kind of make that work. All kinds of things, and just no dice.
That sucks.
So caveat emptor. Make sure that if you are buying something, just do your research. It still might be a cool thing once I get it working, but man, has it been a pain in the dick. So if you heard about that and were like, that sounds cool, I want it. No, you don't.
Yeah.
So you want something different. You want a different version of this that works, or you want this after, it takes off, or whoever takes this idea and runs with it and decides to build a infrastructure around it.
Yeah.
Because it's just been, even just getting responses to emails has been really hard. And I don't know if, I'm a courteous person. I'm being nice. Like, I don't think there's any reason for this guy to just be like inherently sick of my shit.
Right.
I think he's just doesn't care that much.
That sucks.
So yeah, it sucks. So that's why you listen to the same old musty, dusty theme music.
That's okay. It's a good theme song. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Okay.
What else do I like? Downwell.
I love Downwell.
I like Downwell. I don't know if I love it. I like it a lot though.
Okay.
It's real fun. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's get some technical details out. So Downwell is a vertical shooting scroller roguelike platforming game, according to Wikipedia. It came out on iOS and on Windows via Steam on the 15th of October of last year, and was just very recently released on Android. And it's good. I like it.
It is good. It's made by a developer named Moppin, who's just one guy, Ojiro Futomo.
Correct. And
it is very much like a kind of amazing labor of love. What is this like?
Well, I don't know. So it is roguelike. It is permadeath. It's very arcadey, and the main mechanics are kind of like the machine gun from Cave Story turned into the full-blown mechanic. So you're always shooting downwards. You're always scrolling downwards.
Because the gun, it comes out of your boots.
Gun boots.
Yes.
So you're just hopping on the tops of or shooting enemies and blocks and collecting gems and finding little side passage upgrade rooms and shops and trying to survive as long as you can.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of Ridiculous Fishing.
Yeah.
A little bit, like where it's constantly going down this well. The same way in Ridiculous Fishing, where you would time button presses to be shooting, you do that here as well. Some things you can kind of Mario stomp, some things you can't.
Right.
That's like one of my very few kind of like annoyances with the game comes down to that. Like things moving so quickly that's hard to see whether something is stompable versus something that needs to be shot.
Yeah.
Kind of right away, because it's not always immediately obvious. Like at first I thought it was only the basic jellyfish enemies you could step on, but there are a lot of enemies you can step on.
Yeah.
The way they signal that you can't is because of spikes. And if things are moving really quickly, I just ended up landing on a lot of things that did damage to me.
Right.
Without knowing it in time that I needed to shoot them. Which is it's like really the only bummer that I had with the game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And mechanically, I think that they somewhat assist with that by means of you kind of can slow yourself down by shooting, and also there's some upgrades or one of the stances that you unlock is floaty, and that one makes you fall slower in general, and that's kind of your upgrade. With all of the stances are like upgrades
like new
with
characters
the downside.
in Isaac.
Yeah,
like
they always balance out.
There's a lot of like weird little like new roguelike touches to it. So the same thing with like Nuclear Throne, where like at the end of every level you get to choose from 3 different upgrades.
Yeah.
You choose from. There are the shop element because you're collecting gems. That's kind of the whole point of how you're moving down. You use that in shops either to refill your health or get new kind of special abilities that do different things. There's a wide variety so far. Somewhere between Nuclear Throne and Isaac, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It seems like there are a lot of things, a lot of different weapons, and they all behave very differently, which is a Nuclear Throne thing as well, which I really like. In my time I got to play, and we'll talk about that actually in a little bit too, and that's not a fault of the game, but it is something that interfered with my ability to enjoy it. In the time I was able to play, I got a shotgun and a laser and different things, and they all feel very different.
Yeah.
And just moving around feels really good. It's got some kind of Meat Boy feel to it, where you're very kinetic and like, jumpy. You can actually do wall jumps as well.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like that, or like N plus or something like that.
Yeah, it's very clean. Like they stripped it down to some real base mechanics with your movement, and once they got that right, it's very clear that everything else came from there. So they definitely worked on how well does this platform, how crunchy does everything feel, and it was real buttery by the time anyone got their hands on it.
It was real buttery.
Real buttery. So let's talk about real quick, how far have you gotten, Gary?
Not far. And the reason being is that at some point Steam did an update where a lot of Game Maker games stopped working.
Oh, what the hell?
I guess I was reading about this, and it's not the developer's fault. What happened was right at the time the developer was doing this crunch to get out the Android version, Steam did this update, so he could not concentrate on fixing what Steam had broken. He's in the Steam forums and talks about it. Right. So people were freaking out, but he, it's not his fault, and other people were defending him, and it's kind of a little bit of a shit show. So there was a long time where I had this game I was trying to cram for the show. And, I mean, not necessarily cram, like it's a very light game, but it's also, it's not the kind of game I can just sit there and play, right? Like I can't just sit there and like, I'm going to play Downwell for 3 hours.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's a real pick up and play kind of thing, which is why I want to get it for my phone. Cause that port's supposed to be great and won a bunch of awards, and like, I could see it working great on iOS. But on the PC where I was playing it, I just couldn't play it. There's a hack to get around that. You essentially end up having to make kind of a DRM free version by taking the executable and unzipping it. It's this real weird kind of thing you have to do to make it work. And you can make it work, which I was going to have to like literally talk about this game based on 8 minutes of playtime.
Wow.
If I didn't get that to work, which like you can get the idea, but you don't get much more than that.
Right.
But I was able to play it a little bit more because I was able to get this fixed, but I didn't get this fix going until like yesterday. Because it wasn't on forums, so I didn't get a chance to spend as much time with it, but I like it. I'm going to play it on my phone, I think.
I'm thinking about picking up the Android version as
well.
Like
it just seems like a great bus game because it's like a run takes a couple minutes, and it does have that one more turn feeling. One thing that stands in the way of that I want to point out to you is that like there needs to be less time between when you die and you can start over. I don't know if this was a thing for you, but I wanted like a Hotline Miami, like hit R to instantly restart.
Yeah.
And instead you have to kind of wait for the screen to fade out, and then you get to choose if you want to change anything. And all that stuff is a little bit too slow. Whereas I feel like for this kind of game, like it should be immediate.
You can pause and go to restart and get that from you if you want.
Yeah, so you can get around it, which is great because that's what I should be doing when I fail. Because again, I didn't have as much time to explore that stuff though, because there was this unfortunate Steam kind of fuck up.
That's real unfortunate. Yeah. I was playing it today, so I think whatever he pushed out a small update. I think maybe yesterday or day before. So hopefully for most people that's fixed. I didn't have a problem launching it today. So hopefully whatever problem that was is resolved.
Yeah, I hope so too, for sure. So I didn't get an answer to your question. I got to like 3rd level.
Okay.
3rd or 4th level, not very far.
So at every 3 level, or after every 3 levels, so on the 4th level is a different tile set, a totally different like level environment, whole new enemies. And the second one is kind of this crypt. There's like skulls and stuff, and basically ghosts, and also all sorts of different enemies. All the enemies are changed up for the most part. And then I've gotten to the 3rd world, the 7th level. That is a underwater level with it's increasing difficulty, but also the 3rd level adds an additional element in that you are in an air bubble that is running out, so you actually have to try and finish within a certain amount of time each level. So it adds even more kind of chaos. And there's enemies in that level that are especially heinous, especially when you're trying to rush your way down. So I haven't gotten past the water level yet, but I'm interested to see what happens after that, because I don't know how far the rabbit hole goes yet.
It's already very paced very quickly.
Yeah.
Like adding a timer to that is going to make a big difference, because you're already moving very fast.
You are moving very fast, but you, like I said, there's the floaty option, some upgrades you can get that slow you down a bit. So that allows you to kind of take your time and try and build up combos.
Yeah. That's another thing we didn't talk about, which is super important.
The combos, based on the number of enemies you kill, you kind of reach these little check marks that get you benefits. So I think at 8 or something, you get a 100 gem bonus, and then the next step up is you get a ammo bonus, or what do they call it? Is it ammo? I don't know. I think it's ammo. You get an ammo bonus, which will give you one more ammo upgrade, which is an item you'll commonly get from picking up weapon upgrades or buying. And then after that, you'll get a health. The other system revolving around health, since we didn't go over that either, is that every time you get 4 health upgrades when you're already at max health, you get an extra max HP. So you start at 4 HP, and if you lose health and then get a health upgrade, then you're going to get yourself back up to 4. But if you're already at 4 and you get a health upgrade, then you get this little tick underneath your health. And when you get 4 of those, you'll bump up to 5 health.
So it's incentivizing, not taking damage when you are, at all, and kind of perfect play. The combo thing we should mention, it's not just killing enemies, it's killing enemies without touching the ground.
Correct, yeah.
So you're kind of, the thing that speedrunners do when they're playing the last world of Super Mario Brothers 3, and they're just jumping between shells and things and staying in the air. You're doing that essentially the game.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing this at high level, you are just never touching the ground, constantly bouncing from enemy to enemy, and keeping that combo meter going, and it's immensely satisfying. It's super fun.
And what's also important to note about that is that your ammo depletes, and the only way it refills is either by touching the ground or bouncing on an enemy's head. So your combo meter will build up if you're killing enemies by shooting them, but you're going to run out of ammo very, very quickly. And if you are just free falling without any ammo, and then the only enemies on screen are ones you can't bounce on, you have to either try and land or die. So
or just keep falling and avoid hitting things like that.
But as you said, it goes very quick, and that becomes very difficult.
You can do it. So you have this limited, kind of resource to slow your fall. It's really interesting. It's an interesting game, and I love that just one dude made it.
Yeah,
that's super cool. And this guy is a guy to watch. It has that quality that a Super Hexagon or something like that has, where it is just that one more turn, ridiculous fishing kind of thing.
Yeah,
that absolutely. I really like. Good game, super good game. And it's I think isn't the Steam version $3 or something?
Yeah, it's really cheap.
It's so cheap.
At least it is on sale. I'm not. Let me see how much it is right now. It's $3 not on sale, and it's dropped down to 2.
That's amazing. It's such a good value for that. It's such a good game.
Crazy good.
It's just because it's a port from a mobile game, but it plays just fine on the computer.
Oh yeah, I played it as a PC game, and I've even heard people say that they prefer the PC version because your finger's not obstructing the screen at all.
Oh yeah, and you're not using virtual buttons, which virtual buttons are a travesty.
Yeah, exactly.
In all pieces. But good. Yeah, super good game. Super worth it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been playing it a lot, so nothing but hearty recommendations here. So let's talk about Underrail. Underrail is a CRPG. Very
much so.
Very, very CRPG. Released December 18th.
Yep.
It's been in early access for years, since late 2012. It's from a group calling themselves Stygian Software. Stygian. And so far it is available on just Windows.
And probably only will be.
I assume so.
Yeah, I can't imagine this making anywhere else. And this is the game that was conjured into being based on my dislike of Undertale. So somebody said, what is the opposite of Undertale mechanically? And kind of sounds like it. So let's get Gary into a game that has under in the word.
Which is funny.
In the title.
Because this game has been in early access since anyone knew about Undertale, I think.
But nobody knew about it.
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
It popped out out of nowhere, it feels like. Even not just me, but with other people too.
Yeah. Something very interesting happened to me with this. I'm very partial to Humble Bundle, but every once in a while I'll pick up something from one of the other huge bundle guys, and I grabbed some early access bundle for some game in particular years and years ago, and I went to go look at Underrail, and I have this browser add-on that tells you about like historical lowest price for Steam games where you can get them outside of Steam for lower than they're on Steam right now. And it was in this early access bundle, and I was like, I wonder if that's the one singular one that I bought. And it totally is. Like 3 years ago, I bought an early access bundle and owned Underrail before knowing I was interested in
it's like we all got Inceptioned.
Yeah.
Like Inceptioned out of knowing what Underrail was until my dislike for Undertale popped out and just summoned into existence.
That was it.
Yeah, that's what did it. So Underrail is this is one of the most like throwbacky games I've ever played.
Yeah.
So like when Pillars of Eternity came out, or Divinity Original Sin or what have you, and people were like, "Oh, this is like Baldur's Gate," like not really. You know, like Pillars of Eternity is great, but it's like it's inspired by it, but there's so many like little ease of use things.
It's very modern. Yeah.
It's very modern. This could have just come out in a world where like Fallout was popular enough to copy.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not saying it is as good or anything like that. Like we're not going there, but like it is like if in a world where Fallout 1 and 2 set a emulatable like kind of paradigm for games, this would be a game that came out.
Yeah.
Like it feels of that time. Like there are some kind of modern things and modern touches, but for the most part, it just feels like it's stepped out of that specific era.
It does, and actually, I feel like that's sort of the root cause of a lot of my my strife with it. I don't dislike this game, but there's so many systems going on, and it's so clunky, and nothing's kind of well fit together. Like there's this huge emphasis on this crafting system. Like there's 4 or 5 dedicated skills to crafting that you need to level up in order to craft certain things. So there's like, and there's no like story hook right off the bat. Like it expects you to kind of wait around to figure out, you know, something interesting going on. And it's just, I'm so accustomed now to just a little bit of ease of use understanding from the past 15 years of CRPG development that this one's kind of hitting me a little too rough around the edges.
It doesn't go down easy. Like I think like some of the things that you're talking about, I think that there's a reason that they're there that isn't immediately apparent, because like one of the things, and I'm not trying to argue you out of your opinion or anything like that, just no, like I noticed the same thing and came away with a different take, and part of the reason why is because unlike early Fallouts and other games that come out, like this is hard.
Oh yeah.
Underrail is really tough, and I think that the crafting thing, what they're trying to express is this feeling of desperation and scrappiness. That like when you craft something, it's like the crafting system at first. Like I never like a crafting system in a game, right? Like I've been on the record, like I've talked shit about them constantly on this show, right?
Absolutely.
But here I like it because it's necessary. Like it's got this weird survival aspect where like the game is so hard. If you just kind of go out with stuff you can get out the box, you're not going to do very well. You have to start taking advantage of these systems. You don't have to craft everything. Like similar to those old games, you can choose. Like I want to be able to craft electronics, or I want to focus on traps. Like I want to focus on light armor, you know, and have kind of more action points. Like there are all these viable different ways to play. But it's not action points. I can't remember what heavy armor impacts, but it has a negative impact. Right. There are all these different ways to play, and you just have to focus. Like you don't do all of them, which is one of the modern gameplay concessions of like being able to be a master of everything. Is a very modern computer role-playing game thing to do. Yeah. And this wants you to specialize. And if you do specialize, it will flatten out that difficulty curve a lot. Like I ended up where I stopped playing, and I didn't beat this. I wanted to. I put in about 9 hours into it, and the game is just bigger than I thought. Yeah, it's really big. It seems it's a huge game.
Yeah, so we both got to the same area. We got to the
second
junkyard.
Hub.
Yeah, the second. Yeah. It's kind of a smaller hub from what I can tell so far. Kind of just a bunch of shops and missions to find, side missions and stuff. But I know just from dialogue that there's definitely a big city that you're on the outskirts of. There's this like united federation of different cities, and I assume they have probably a big hub city that is gonna be a major plot point in the game. Yeah. But even after 8 hours, you know, the even route of which you're supposed to go to get there is completely masked. Like you have this big cave system of terrors, the stuff that can just knock you down in 2 seconds flat. Even if you specialize, fighting in this game is difficult.
It uses meat walls.
Oh yeah.
So like the idea is that it doesn't. There aren't like plot walls that stop you from going places. It's not to go somewhere because something's hard.
Right.
It's all New Vegas. It's all the Deathclaw quarry.
Yeah. Don't go north.
Yes.
Yeah. It's exactly that. So yeah, I assume there's way more to this game than either of us saw. And I am interested in it still. I may possibly keep going, but I think that I might not. Like what I'm looking for is maybe better writing, like something more to hook me, because the systems aren't quite. It's enough of a decent CRPG system for me to be like, cool, I can roll along with this. But I haven't seen anything of the story or setting that's really grabbing me yet. It
does not put its best foot forward with that stuff. Like I 100% will agree with that. Like it is it needs like a water chip.
Yeah.
It needs like essentially the premise is you're set up under this baron or what have you, who's in this organization in this underground city in the post-apocalypse, and you're just like doing jobs.
Yeah, you're just a new settler essentially.
It's a lot like Abaddon. If you ever played Abaddon, like that's how Abaddon starts. It's just like, oh, you work for the Citadel, you're just doing jobs, and eventually it opens up into something. But like doing jobs is the stuff that you want to do when you're ignoring your main job,
right?
It's like it. I think I agree with you that I don't think that quite works. Like, where I'm more kind of gentle to it or more accepting of it, and the reason why I think I will keep playing it is that I think the systems are actually pretty good. Like I like the character build system. I like an action point economy like battle system. And you do the same thing that you can do in Divinity Original Sin, where you can kind of take advantage of things to get away with take advantage of the systems to get away with things that maybe you shouldn't be able to. It's something I'm a big sucker for. So like in Junkyard, there was a thing where somebody asked me to kill somebody, but I couldn't let anybody know that I killed them. And I'd failed a check to get them to go, take it outside and fight me out there. So I had to kill him while he was still in this bar. And I did. It was like a real classic. It reminded me of placing dynamite in people's pockets in Fallout,
right.
Where like he walks back and forth between a pool table and he goes and gets a drink every once in a while. So like I hung out in the corner, watched him go through this path, and then when he was in the hallway, if no one was around, I could slip into stealth mode, like stab him in the back. I had to do it in one or before he could get a turn to call for help,
right?
And just stab him a bunch of times and then shanked him and then like left. And that kind of problem solving kind of that's not it wasn't a dialogue choice, right? It wasn't like click a menu option that says do this. I had to come up with that plan and watch his patterns and stuff. Like I think there's more of that here. I have this sense that there's more of that stuff. It just does a really bad job of presenting itself. I think
I wouldn't doubt it. There is like some things I really really love about this game. The main thing that I'm super infatuated with about it is the alternative experience system.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm playing is a stealthy crossbowman who likes traps. It seems like a fun build. And what's so amazing about this alternative leveling up system is that it's not based around getting experience for just kills and doing missions. In fact, you don't get any experience for kills, but you still do get some experience for missions. The main way you level up is by finding items that are like unique little oddities that are hidden on perhaps a corpse for killing someone, but most of the time like behind lockboxes or in little secret areas, just kind of off the beaten path, in a way that makes you able to level up just by being someone who's stealthy and explorative. That you can actually get through this game fighting minimally and still like be just as leveled up as someone who wants to go fight everything, because you're looking in every nook and cranny for these oddities that'll level you up. And I think that's such a good system.
Yeah, the idea of tying level up and player empowerment explicitly to exploration. Like that's been a thing a lot where like in Fallout 3 you get XP for finding new settlements. But you can actually, there's a system in this game, an alternative system where that's the primary source.
That's pretty much it.
And they're all like and that kind of cast your character as this like miner or spelunker or something, like this architect or investigator of the old world, this archaeologist. And that's really cool.
It is cool.
Like I like that a lot. And that works really well. So I really like that system. I think the crafting has something to it, even though it is not intuitive and you end up with a lot of junk in your inventory. Like it's very fiddly.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, if you don't like that fiddly, if you feel like Dragon Age, like, oh great, Dragon Age got rid of all the fiddliness of that, then this is 100% like an anti-recommendation.
Right.
Like this is as far as games that I really like that I can't recommend to most people I know, this is really up there.
Yeah.
Like you have to really get it, like that has to be okay with you and you have to be kind of into it. But there are a lot of these little, like, that fiddliness that's like I kind of like people don't there's different currencies in different towns and with exchange rates, like where you have to kind of keep that in mind. I did a thing where like there was a group I went to a place to get this piece of information and found out that raiders had taken over the basement of it and enslaved everybody who was there. So like it was real old school Fallout. Like I'm maybe underleveled for this. Like how can I take advantage of everything I have to do this? Like you have to use those consumables. You have to use traps. Like it does. And that's something I haven't, like even like old Fallout games, like a lot of people think they're hard. If you're raised with them, they're not that hard. Those don't feel hard to me anymore. Like playing this kind of system with that kind of challenge just kind of worked.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that level. Like I won't deny
like that level's great. Like it's a super cool level. Like and you just do it however you like. Like you can. There's a way to talk your way out of a big part of the problem. You can ambush the enemy. It doesn't do that Pillars of Eternity thing where like the enemy has to make his villain speech before you can affect them. That nobody's plot invincible. As far as I can tell, like it is, it's got that freedom that I really liked in Divinity Original Sin. I think Divinity Original Sin is a better game than this, but I think this is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that I'm just a tick above enjoying the fiddliness of this. Like, I'm definitely not at the opposite end of the spectrum where I need everything to be super clean and shiny. I like, same with you, Fallout 1 and 2 are just huge games to me, but I think there's just a little bit of the systems and stuff that isn't quite working for me, and not enough of a setting and mission pool to keep me going at this point. So
I could totally see it. Like it doesn't, is when I talk about in games where I talk about you being asked to do interesting things, I haven't been asked to do that many interesting things, like assassinating that guy, clearing that basement. But the kind of context for it, it's not even that the writing itself is bad, it's just perfunctory. Like it's not embarrassing, it's just not good enough.
It's just not very interesting. You're like the CRPG-ness of it, the multiple paths to everything, and even just the combat cells itself and how many options you have there, those are all like A+ in my book. Like I think as far as the CRPG combat system and stealthing around and exploring and finding your own path through different scenarios, that's all going great with me. It's just kind of all of the auxiliary stuff that's not quite catching on.
Yeah, and that stuff, I mean, that stuff matters. That stuff's important. I hope that it will, like, if the entire game stays with this level of kind of hook, I will be bummed out. It will be, if I make a couple more hours and there's nothing, like it needs to do something. But there's enough there in the play to where, and I'm not arguing you out of your opinion. Like I can see there being a very fine line where like this is either enough for you or not. To move on and give it a little bit more time.
I'll tell you what'll work for me. If you get some time in and get a little further in this game and you find something really cool that you just like semi spoil for me, like this is coming up for you, this is something you get to work towards.
And you haven't it comes out in 2 hours, or it comes up in an hour, so that it's not like the end game,
right?
But like if I finish with Junkyard, the next place I go is like you emerge onto the surface into the Statue of Liberty that's been converted into like a city or something you're like really that kind of thing,
right?
Because the settlements and stuff are really modular in a weird way. Like they're all based on these just like subway systems and stuff. So there's a little bit of just like going through walls, lots of caves. But yeah, it is so far so neat. But I want a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that for you at the very least, like I'd like to see this too, but I'm hoping that there's some of that draw of the history of why the world is this way.
Yeah.
That is so good about Fallout. Like Fallout kind of does start off this way. Like although you have this big arching quest of the water chip, and there is some interesting stuff to come out into the world and see. Like it is a lot of kind of menial stuff for the first little bit. You know, Shady Sands and stuff. It's a little.
It's pretty basic,
but when you get deeper in and then you start getting shit like the glow and all sorts of like all real cool text of what became of this world and all the history of Vault Tech and everything, like that shit's so good. And if this manages to match even just a little bit of that, it'll be worth me putting more time into.
Yeah, I just hope that it does. I hope that there's a little bit more of the background, and they have to address that. Like, it would be crazy to do a post-apocalyptic game where it just never talks about what happened.
That's just kind of what it feels like right now, though. I know technically it's early on. Like, we've only technically been in 2 places, but
it's 8 hours.
It's 8 hours.
So,
like,
so it feels like more than it is, and that's both of our completionist streaks of us doing every side quest before we moved on. You know,
that's true.
So, like, if I'm sure that would help, but you can't be blamed for that.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So some pretty good games. I'm happy we started off the year with these.
Me too.
And so next time, I believe we're probably doing the Magic Circle, right?
Yes.
And then we'll find something to tie that up with. I think we had something in mind, but I don't remember what it is at the moment. So
yeah. So something we're going to try to do, and people can help us out with this, is that we're going to try to match a game where maybe we want to put like 8 hours into it with a game that you can pick up really quick.
Yeah.
And we have a big list of games that are big that we want to beat, but we don't have that many short games.
Yeah.
And then by short, I don't mean like, oh, you can beat it in 5 hours. I mean short, like Downwell, like you can pick it up and get the idea pretty quick.
Yeah, there's plenty of sort of more casual leaning indie games out there that aren't meant to be beaten or aren't, you don't need to play through to get a whole storyline to get the whole idea of the game. We want something that's mechanically rich that you can get the idea of in a short amount of time. We have all our meat. We need some potato suggestions.
Yes. So yeah, send us your potatoes.
Yep, please.
Yeah. So if you want to support the show, a great way to do that is to send do a rating or review on iTunes. It helps people find us. You can also support the whole network financially by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
And you can always come hang out with us on facebook.com/checkitoutcomrade or on Twitter @Comrade Podcast. And if you do join our Patreon at, I believe, $2 or above, we're always available on our Slack, which is like IRC chat room, basically. We have the little channel set up for various discussion points, including the different shows on Duckfeed. And we're always around there, and we love conversing with you guys, chatting about different games and other various topics going on. So it's always a fun place to be. Yeah, and it is. That's a good place to send us potatoes. Yeah. And we're happy to be back. And we will be back with the Magic Circle and another game as yet to be determined in 2 weeks' time. Yep. See you guys. Take care.